Hi, everybody. It's Dakeem again. I'm back and welcome to another session of Casting Directors Say What? Each month, I spotlight an amazing casting director in the industry, big and small. Again, guys, a lot of what we do in this industry as casting directors is misunderstood. And I hope that this series can shine a light on the wonderful, hardworking people out there that really work tirelessly to bring people's dreams to a reality. Now, today we have a very special guest, I have to say. This is someone that I can say this without any hesitation. I kind of owe my whole casting career to. If it wasn't for this woman, the one person to look at me and give me a chance and say, why don't you see if you like this side of the industry? I wouldn't be doing this right now. So I would like to introduce the amazing, tell them your name.
Liz Lewis,
And what's your office?
Liz Lewis Casting Partners, and we cast for commercials, film, TV, in New York, LA, and Austin, but virtually across the country.
You do it all, Liz. That's why it was such a good training ground for me. Now, let's get into our rapid questions, okay? First and foremost, Liz, how'd you get started in casting?
Well, I was an actress like everybody, and
Yes.
I came back from college and my parents said, I don't think you are gonna, they didn't really say that, but they basically said, get a job in production and don't wait tables.
Mhm.
So I answered an ad, and the minute I walked in, they hired me because they were like, here's somebody that that will work for us without an interview. So
Mhm.
they hired me, and I started working, and I would go to my auditions and I was learning the business. And 3 months later, my boss brought me in and I thought, oh God, I'm gonna get fired. But she said, would you like to buy shoes? Or would you like to be an actress? And I didn't know what she meant. And about 5 minutes later, I decided to work with her and stop the acting business. And she taught me everything I knew. And then 5 years later, I went out on my own.
You know what's so funny about that story, Liz, is it has some similarities to what you did to me. I was interning, remember? And I remember I called my mom and I was like, I can't keep working for free. I got to go get a job. And then, right as I was about to walk out the door, you came up to me and was like, Dakeem, do you want to work here? And for a second, I was like, I want to be an actor. Mom, do I want to work here? My mother was like, boy, you better take that job. And then I fell in love with it. So it's so funny how similar all our stories are in a way, you know? Now, my next question to you, Liz, is once you started doing it, why did you keep doing it? Like, what about this side of the industry what do you love about this side of the industry so much that has kept you doing it so long?
Yeah, I mean, I love actors, and it was exciting. I mean, I got to perform basically when giving people direction,
Yeah.
got that out of my system, the acting side of out of my system. And I loved seeing actors doing their best work, and I wanted to have a platform for them to be comfortable and do it.
And that's what you told me when I first started working at Liz Lewis. And I've taken that throughout my 23 years of doing this now. That's always stuck with me, Liz, where you're like, you got to support them. You got to make them feel good in the room. It's a team effort. Like your job is to get a good performance out of them. And you have to be friendly and welcoming and let them relax. And that's just stayed with me so much. So,
I mean, that's the other thing, is that actors need to realize that we need them as much as they need us. And that, I think, is a way to try and relax in the room. I know it's difficult, but if we need them.
It's
We
like a
don't look good
partnership, right?
if we don't have actors doing their best job.
Right. I tell them, I'm like, if you don't do a good job, then they're not, clients not going to come back to me. If they don't come back to me, that's less opportunities for you. But if you do good, I look good. Now I get another casting opportunity that I can then give to you. It's all like one hand washing the other's hands or
Right.
back, whatever they say.
Right.
Now, Liz, my next question to you is, the business has changed really fast in the last couple of years. What is your perspective on the current state of the casting industry? And what do you think actors should understand about it today?
Well, it has become a virtual business, at least on my end of it. Theater is a little bit different now,
Yeah,
but
theater's a little in person still, but
it's callbacks are usually in person, but not a full-fledged audition from the beginning to the end. But I think an actor needs to realize and not be nervous about learning how to use a camera, lighting, making sure your space is perfect. And I know it's difficult, but now you become a producer.
yeah.
So you're not only an actor, but you're a producer. And I know it's difficult because we want to, we're touchy-feely, this business, in a good way.
Mhm.
So it is difficult to audition virtually, but it gets easier. The more you do it, the more opportunity you have to do it, the easier it gets.
And your office specifically does something that I think is very unique, where you try to connect the virtual side of the audition with what the in-person side used to be by sometimes having live castings where there's a casting director to give them feedback. And I know a lot of the actors, when I work for you, have given me such positive feedback, and they're like, nobody's doing this. It's so great. It's so helpful for us. So in addition to what you said about being producers, that's one thing that I always tell actors too. I'm like, the minute you decide to be an actor, you've decided to run your own business, and you have to think about what it takes to run a business, getting that talent, getting the product right first, which is your talent, and then it's visualizing and letting people know who you are.
And that's the thing. I mean, it used to be it still is, shows the small word, business is the big word. And it's daunting to have to run your own business because everybody was used to having an agent and they ran my business.
Mhm.
But now you have to sort of be on top of every aspect of it.
Lighting,
Um,
blocking, how to shoot yourself, what does in perpetuity mean, all that type of stuff.
yeah, and there's a lot of things that actors don't know, and they don't get a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's hard about it now, is that there's no serious personal interaction to get these answers.
Yeah, but they got to be prepared for this new virtual world that we're in, right?
And
Now,
go ahead.
now,
Sorry.
Liz, this is a question about just being a casting director, because I mentioned at the top that there's so many misunderstandings about what we do. What's one misunderstanding about being a casting director that just drives you crazy, and you're like, people
We're
don't
not
talk about
agents. We're not agents. We don't represent talent.
it? That's so
And
funny.
so, yeah, people don't know what that is. They think it's an agent.
Somebody sent me an email yesterday, and they were like talking to me like I was representing talent, and they wanted to see who I represented. I'm like, I'm a CD, not an agent.
That's a very big misunderstanding because, it's not that old a story. I mean, CD casting directors were not doing that in the 30s. They weren't called that
Mm-hmm.
in
So
the 30s and 40s.
now, Liz, what advice would you give a new actor who's like just getting started and they took their first acting class and they're like, wow, I really like this, but now what do I do? Like, what would you suggest as a good starting point, besides learning how to act and making sure you can be believable in front of the camera?
Um, a resume is important
Mhm.
be truthful, because everybody starts somewhere. And if you don't have much except training on your resume, that's okay.
Mhm.
And there's opportunities for new actors. We love new actors. I mean, I've always was, where's the new people? And that was a big thing that, it made me feel like I could dig deeper by seeing somebody that was new. But I
Mhm.
think as an actor virtually, you need to register for casting billboards. You need to register for Actors Access, because there's going to be a time that you will have that opportunity to audition for this casting director, and they'll be like, oh my God, where have you been?
Mhm.
And that's really exciting. It's exciting for us. It's exciting, obviously, for the actor who's finally going to get a paid gig.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really important. And, read as much as possible. Watch as many movies and TV series as possible. Get to the theater if you can. Just so that you can look and see what's out there and go, oh, I can do that.
Yeah, that is so important. I tell people that all the time. I teach on the side too, and it's amazing how many young artists now like don't read plays. They just know like the current movies. And I'm like, God, like you got to do your research, guys, so you can understand the industry that you're trying to get into.
Right. And you need to spend that. It's almost like you have a desk job, which we all hate.
Yeah.
Um, these are helpful tools to understand how the business started, who the stars were then, who they are now. You've got to do your research, even if you've been to acting, college and acting. I mean, when I was in college, the last year, my Howard Jensen picked out a book,
Hmm.
how to audition in New York, and really read it.
Yeah.
You don't really, you just have to, and you have to do as much as you can to get your feet in.
Yeah, know a little more about the industry than the newest Marvel movie that came out. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now, Liz, this is a question that I want you to feel like you can be 100% honest with, right? Okay, because this is about networking. It's so difficult sometimes for actors to figure this out. What advice would you have for actors when it comes to networking? Like one, it's a three-part question. Do you like to be contacted?
Mhm. Myself, the only way to get to know a new person is,
Mhm.
I accept emails and I look at them and I file them, based on what they are.
What gets your attention though? Because I get a lot of emails where I'm just like, this is a horrible email. I'm gonna ignore it. And then somewhere I'm like, oh, this is how you do it.
Sometimes, you know, I do get the emails. Can you keep me in mind for
The gimme, gimme, gimme.
projects? And, I turn around, I look at the resume, I look at the picture, I see if they've had good training. And if they're new, there's so much non-union commercials going on that I put them, in that file. And that's the good thing about the business. The only good thing about commercials right now, as
Yeah.
far as that's concerned, is there's so many opportunities for new talent to be seen because there's so many non-union.
And don't you think I always try to let people give people an understanding of at least the commercial side of the industry where it can really benefit you uh, by auditioning for commercials because it sort of helps with networking. Not only are you meeting casting directors, but you might meet an up and coming director who's got another big project or film or something, or established director that's taking a break. Remember when we cast that commercial with the guy who did Leaving Las Vegas, Mike Lee, at Liz Lewis when King Kong
Right.
was coming out, and it was to promote the New York City stuff. I was like, that was a great opportunity to work with a Academy Award nominated director who's just
Right.
doing a commercial.
See, that's the thing, and you don't know, and so many times you may have one opportunity to audition all week,
Right.
You have to go into that audition calmly,
Mhm.
because once you're out of the room, you just gotta put it to bed.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing, because they keep saying, oh, it's not personal, but it is. It's a personal business, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
And it gets frustrating. And there's people that are brilliant Academy Award winners that aren't working.
Right. So
It,
now, Liz, on that note, then what realistic advice do you have for an actor who decides to make this a career choice? Like, what's one thing that they just really need to understand when they pursue this career?
they've gotta love it. Like, eat, drink, smell it. I mean, if you are not, then you need to find another career in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
I'm very fulfilled by what I do.
Yeah.
And making that change, thank God.
Hmm.
For me, and I'm not, I didn't become a casting director because I couldn't do the other.
You fell in love with this
I
side.
fell in love with it, and I love actors, so
Yeah.
I love being entertained on a daily basis. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
and it's so exciting. It's like every day, even when it's the type of job that we've cast before, it's still like, okay, how are we going to figure out how to do this efficiently, creatively, so that the actors can have fun and we get what we need out of them? Let's make our brains work. It was just so much, it's so much fun to just do that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is.
So now, Liz, here's your bonus question, okay? What advice would you give to an upcoming casting director? Because there's no schools for us to learn this or
Mm.
anything. There's no training. If somebody's out there and they're thinking about becoming a casting director and they want to fall in love with this side of the business, where do you think they should start?
I think they have to start, get an internship at a casting with a casting person, which is hard in New York.
Now it is. Back
Yeah.
in the day, it wasn't, but oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many people that were interns for me that are busy, that are working, TV people that are stars. I mean, that worked for me. I think that try and get an internship, even though a lot of it's virtual.
Mhm,
Um, they you need a mentor.
mhm.
CSA has mentor programs. You can reach out to them.
Yes, very good.
And you really need to hone your skills knowing actors. I mean, when I started, there was a player's guide, had
Mhm.
all the actors in it, and my boss would plunk it on the table, learn the actors. You don't have that opportunity now. But read the trades, read Hollywood Reporter, read Variety, read Rap, read
Yeah.
as much as you can. So you start, I mean, I still keep books of actors and clippings of somebody new or somebody that I met somewhere. So it's up to you to really become a knowledgeable person where you are a go-to for
Mhm.
the head casting person.
And I always think it's beneficial for casting directors to take an acting class too. So because you got to direct people. So you have to know what you're trying to get them to deliver emotionally, So
There's a book called Directing Actors,
mhm,
and the whole book is about that, but in the back, there's all these terms to use.
mhm,
Like, instead of have fun with it, that's not a real
yeah.
helpful term, but they give you ideas and ways in which to engage with an actor to give them the best opportunity.
Liz, thank you so much for this quick little actor spotlight on you. You're amazing. The way you support people in this industry, your wealth of knowledge never ceases to amaze me. And I really say in everything that I do, I'm so blessed that I was lucky enough to actually start at this
I was
level.
blessed too.
Well, it was great, Liz. Thank you so much for talking to me today. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next month for another spotlight of another amazing casting director in this industry. So stay tuned and listen to what Liz says, everybody. Keep in touch with her. Don't be annoying when you do it, and take her advice because it's good advice. And we'll see you next month, right, Liz?
Bye. Yeah. Have a great weekend.